The German half of me has already moved on well into Christmas, but the American half of me is still deep into fall and very excited for Thanksgiving. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my apartment. Today I'm bringing you a recipe that I am so excited to share with you guys. The funny thing is that today, the day that I'm filming this, is actually the 1-year anniversary of me putting this recipe up on my blog. This is my delicious, wonderful, incredible little pumpkin brioche rolls. So basically they are teeny tiny little dinner rolls, essentially, made from pumpkin brioche. You wrap baking twine around them when they bake so that they come out of the oven looking like little pumpkins. I'm sure that you've seen people on TikTok or on Instagram wrapping baking twine around like sourdough bread or like a Dutch oven country loaf in order to get those like pumpkin-like ridges. But last year I really wanted something that looked and tasted pumpkin-y, and these are also stuffed with a cream cheese filling that I think is just delicious and a wonderful addition. They're perfect for the end of fall, and they're a perfect addition to your Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving table this year. As always, you'll be able to find the ingredients list and the full method of prep on my blog, which will be linked down below. And without further ado, let's talk about this pumpkin brioche. Brioche is a enriched yeasted bread, so there's usually eggs or butter or both in a brioche. The addition of eggs and butter into a bread like this makes for a really delicious, tender, fluffy, flavorful bread. Unfortunately, with this recipe, I do recommend that you get a stand mixer if you have access to one. It is possible to do without a stand mixer and just by hand, but your arms will be so tired by the end of this. So if you can get your hands on a stand mixer, I do really recommend it. I had to borrow mine from my mom for this. So first you're gonna combine your wet ingredients. So the milk, the eggs, and the pumpkin in a little container and microwave it for about 30 seconds. You're not trying to cook the eggs or create any steam or make it hot, really. You're just trying to take the chill off. So it should be body temperature or a little bit warmer. It should just feel barely warm to the touch when you pull it out of the microwave. So probably still less than a minute, about 30 to 45 seconds. In the bowl of your stand mixer, you're going to combine all the dry ingredients. So that'll be the flour, the salt, the yeast, all the spices, and all of the sugar. Give it a good mix with a spatula or a whisk just to combine everything. With the mixer running on a low speed with the hook attachment, go ahead and start adding your wet ingredients to your dry ingredients and give it a good mix. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes for the dough to come together as one cohesive mass with no dry spots or anything like that. And then we're ready to start adding the butter. It is really important for the butter to be completely room temperature for this, or like really soft for this. You don't want it to be cold at all. If you have to microwave it for like 10 seconds, go ahead and do so. If it's cold at all, it will take forever to mix into the dough. So with the mixer running on a medium speed, you're gonna add your butter 1 tablespoon at a time, waiting until it is completely mixed into the dough to add the next tablespoon. This takes a really long time to add the butter in. I think it took me 8 to 10 minutes, but you really wanna take your time with it and you wanna really make sure that all of the butter is completely incorporated. If you add all of the butter in all at once, or if you rush it too much, it could take even longer for the butter to incorporate, if at all. Once all the butter is completely mixed in, it's gonna look like a really sticky, really soft, really goopy kind of mass. There's gonna be no gluten structure in it. If you pull on it, it will just rip. It's really not a strong dough at that point. So we are going to now really work the dough to get some strength in there and develop that gluten. So at this point, you're gonna kick your mixer up to about a medium high to a high speed, and we're gonna mix it for 10 minutes. Again, this is a very long process and it's gonna feel a little bit like overkill, but trust me, it will yield such good results if you just let it do its thing. You'll know that it's done when, for the most part, the dough is not sticking to the sides of the bowl anymore. It's one cohesive mass around your dough hook. It's stretchy, it's soft, it's a little bit tacky still, but when you pull a piece off and you stretch it out, it passes the window pane test, which means that you can stretch it pretty thin without it tearing or without it ripping or falling apart or anything like that. You can really see a difference from when you started mixing to at this point now, 10 minutes later. So at this point, you're gonna wanna move your dough into a well-greased bowl and cover it with plastic wrap or a tea towel and let it sit at room temperature or in a warm space for 2 hours. And then you're gonna wanna cover it in plastic wrap if you haven't already and put it into the fridge. If you just cover it in the tea towel, the cold air from the fridge will probably dry out the top of your dough. So definitely make sure it's covered in plastic wrap at this point. And then it's gonna go into the fridge for a slow, long fermentation overnight. The next day, while your dough is still in the fridge, or the night before, whenever you wanna do this, we are going to prepare the cream cheese filling. This is entirely optional. I do show you guys how to shape it without the cream cheese filling if you don't want to put that in there. So you just pop your softened cream cheese into a bowl and cream it together so that it's soft and fluffy, and then go ahead and add your powdered sugar, cream it together again just so that there's no dry bits or any pockets of powdered sugar, and then you're going to portion it out onto a either baking sheet or just a plate that's lined with plastic wrap. 1 block of cream cheese should give you 16 tablespoon sized portions. So you're gonna go ahead and portion that out onto the plastic wrap and throw it into the freezer. Depending on how cold your freezer runs, this could take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. I think I had mine in there for a full 2 hours. You just wanna make sure that each little portion of cream cheese is completely firm and solid because you are going to be handling it. You're gonna have to be able to pick it up. So it should be firm enough for you to be able to do that. So once your cream cheese is firm and it's ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and pull the dough out of the fridge and portion it up. You're gonna get 16 equal portions from this recipe of dough. One easy way to portion out the dough that I actually did is just to cut it into 16 equal pieces. So cut it into 4s, cut each quarter into 4 equal pieces, and then you have 16. If you want, you can also scale each portion. It should be between, I believe, 60 and 70 grams per portion if you have a scale and you're gonna do it that way. However you wanna do it, you need 16 equal portions of dough. Next, if you are using the cream cheese filling, you're gonna flatten out your dough into a nice round disc and then put your cream cheese portion in the center and wrap the dough around the cream cheese, really making sure to pinch and seal off the bottom. You don't want any cream cheese exploding out the bottom or leaking or anything like that because it definitely will. If you're not using cream cheese, you can go ahead and just kind of roll your portions into a tight little ball. So next is the fun part. Next is when these go from regular ordinary brioche rolls to cute little pumpkins. So you're gonna wanna get your hands on some baking twine, and you definitely want it to be specifically baking twine, not just like regular arts and crafts twine. Baking twine is wound a lot tighter, so it doesn't have a lot of like that fraying, like those extra little strands, because those will probably get stuck in your bread and it's kind of gross. Try and get your hands on some baking or kitchen twine if you can, and you're gonna cut that into 16 strips that are each about 24 inches long. And then it's kind of hard for me to verbally explain this, so you see me doing this in the video, but basically you're gonna wrap each portion of dough like a present. So if you've ever done that with like twine or ribbon, you just kind of like sit it on top and then wrap and twist and wrap and twist until you have 8 sections on each roll. And then it doesn't really matter where you tie it off. I prefer to tie it off on the bottom just because I want all of the ugly parts on the bottom of the roll where no one's gonna see it. And once all of them are wrapped up in the twine, you're gonna wanna put your prepared little brioche rolls onto a parchment lined baking sheet, and you're gonna cover them in a tea towel or something and let them sit in a warm place for about 30 to 45 minutes. You don't want them to proof too much, because otherwise if the dough wraps around the twine too much, then it'll be really hard to get them out. But they should have puffed up at least a little bit by the time they're done proofing. While they're proofing, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So with normal brioche rolls, like if you were doing this recipe without the twine and without the pumpkin shaping or anything like that, you would want to cover them in an egg wash before they go into the oven. So 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk, and then just kind of brush it on the top. When I was testing this recipe and I'd put the egg wash on top, the egg would just kind of like soak into the twine and like really fuse the twine to the bread. I was having a lot of trouble with it, so I just skip it. So once your oven is preheated and your rolls are proofed again and they're nice and puffy, you can just go ahead and stick them in straight into the preheated oven without the egg wash. They bake for 25 to 30 minutes. You're gonna wanna rotate the pans halfway through, especially if you know you have hot spots in your oven. So about 15 minutes, rotate 15 more minutes after that. You'll know when they're done when they have a beautiful golden brown color on the top. Your house will smell amazing, and when you poke at them, they should be fluffy and light. It should bounce back. They shouldn't feel dense or anything like that. It's really hard to get a temperature reading on a bread with a filling because once you stick the thermometer into the center of the bread, all you're really doing is getting a temp of the filling. Obviously the cream cheese filling is gonna be really hot, so it's gonna read really hot. So those are really the best indicators to know when the bread is done. It's just the color, the smell, and when you poke it, if it feels nice and fluffy. Once you're ready to pull them out of the oven, you can get the butter glaze ready. So this is kind of how I make up for not egg washing them as they go in, because the egg wash gives the brioche rolls a really, really beautiful color and a really beautiful shine that we don't get without the egg wash. So I melt some butter together with some cinnamon sugar, and once the rolls are fresh out of the oven, you can go ahead and brush the butter on top of the rolls. You want to do this while they are still warm so that the butter has a chance to really sink into the bread and really soak in, and it's just delicious. So at this point, you're gonna wanna wait until the rolls cool down completely before you try to remove the twine. Depending on if they overproofed or how they baked or anything, the twine will look like it's pretty trapped in there. The easiest way that I have found to remove the twine is to cut it from the top, like cut the twine from the top so that it's all just 8 different pieces of twine. And then kind of peel it away like a mandarin orange. You want to be really careful not to like rip the bread too much. It's kind of inevitable, to be honest, depending on how it like bakes around it. Or if you cut the top off and you kind of like pull from underneath so that it slips through the holes rather than like breaking the segments of the pumpkin. You can do it that way too, but if you're careful with it, it shouldn't mutilate the bread too much. I haven't had too many issues. I haven't had any casualties just taking the twine out, so you should be fine. And then as an added bonus, if you really want to sell the pumpkin look, you can add little pumpkin stems. I have used pecans in the past. I had walnuts in my fridge this time around, so I just put little like walnut halves into the centers of the pumpkins so they look like they have little stems, and they're just like so stinking cute. Like, what? And once you've added the stems, you have gorgeous, adorable little pumpkin rolls. I think that these are incredible. Like, they are, quite honestly, are like my prized creation and my prized possession. I love these rolls so much. They are so popular in my household. My parents ask for them all the time once fall rolls around, and when I make a batch, they ask for like 3 more batches. They're so stinking delicious, and they're so cute on the table. They make such an adorable addition to like your Thanksgiving or like your Friendsgiving dinner or something like that. Like, it's just adorable to look at. And again, I'm all about variation and customization in my recipes, so if you don't want to do the twine part, if you just want regular brioche rolls, knock yourself out. If you don't want the cream cheese in there, don't add it if you don't want to. So yeah, and then you have like the little rolls, they're a little segmented, so you can just kind of like rip a piece off if you want. And then you've got the cream cheese filling is in there. It's fluffy, it's tender, it's delicious. Oh, these are so addicting. These are so good. I really hope that you guys get the chance to try these out, and if you do, please tag me on Instagram or on Twitter or anything like that. I would love to see. If you have any questions or need clarification on anything, please let me know. Again, I will have the full recipe and the full method of prep on my blog, which I'll link down below. My family prefers the version of these that has the cream cheese filling in them, and a couple of these don't have cream cheese filling in them because I was trying to show like how to shape without it. So I think I'm just gonna bring them the entire batch and then just be like, some of them don't have cream cheese in them, and then just kind of watch them fight like Russian roulette. Just chaos. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday season. I will see you guys again soon with some of my favorite holiday recipes. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Bye! Now that this video is done and Thanksgiving has come and gone, I will no longer be shamed for listening to Christmas music in my car. Bye!